Okay, good morning. It's 10 a.m. everybody, and it is time to get started. We're conducting today's meeting virtually, obviously. This is the last of the committee meetings this year. We've had two others. The one in August was in person, and the one in April was also a virtual one. So our first order of business is to call this meeting to order. So this meeting is called to order, and I will turn to Valerie. We have a quorum, correct, Val? We got a quorum today, yes?
Video calls.
This is the moderator. Valerie, you're still on mute.
Yeah.
Thank you. You're missing Antoine.
Yes, we have a quorum. So, okay. All right. So we will be meeting from now until the completion of all agenda items. I'm going to start off with the usual housekeeping items, and I always have to issue apologies to all of my committee members because you've heard this so many times before, but we have to do it every time because it does bear repeating. Please always reach out to the Bureau via email address, which is our general email address is bsis@dca.ca.gov. Upper management has a standing meeting to respond to the more technical and complex questions, but you should get, if your question is fairly straightforward, you should get a response within 48 hours. And if it is a more technical one, it might take a little bit longer, but when you send an email, it does get to Bureau staff and it gets to the subject matter experts. So we always recommend emailing rather than calling because the calls do go to the general DCA call center. They do not go to BSIS employees. So we always can encourage everybody to email because you're skipping, straight to the experts at that point. We also have dedicated direct email addresses for all of our license types. If you go to our website, which is bsis.ca.gov, and you click along the top banner, contact us, there's a drop-down menu that has all of our license types and certification types, and you click on that, and that will go straight to the employee or the desk that handles that issue. So that's probably the quickest, best way, most efficient way to get in touch with us and get to the heart of the matter the quickest possible way. Questions on legislation, because we get those all the time. They are always welcome. Clarification questions. What do you mean by this? How is the Bureau going to enforce this? What do you guys think? All of those questions are absolutely fair game. So send those to us, and you'll get responses and you'll get guidance to the best of our ability. Some questions we can't answer, but the ones that we can, we do. And then we explain if we cannot answer something, why we cannot answer something. We also get a disturbing amount of emails from folks asking us to ignore a specific law. This law is unfair. I don't feel like you guys should enforce this, or I don't feel like we are covered under this. And that is, we don't make the laws, and we don't get to choose which laws that we follow, unfortunately. So we are bound by the same laws and regulations that our licensees are. So we cannot avoid or go around enforcement. Okay, so first item agenda is our roll call. So that is agenda item, let's see, number 1. So Valerie, if you could unmute and then call roll, please.
Perfect. Okay, good morning. Roll call. Shannon Birdsoff.
Here.
Anton Farmby. Frank Huntington.
Here.
Mark Miller.
Here. Hey, he's become a Snell and just become big. He goes all over the place.
Chris Sayers. Leon Scroggins.
Present.
Angel Yanez.
Here.
Glenn Younger. Glenn, are you here?
Unmute. Yes, I'm here.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right. So yeah, it looks like we do have a quorum. next up is the review and approval of our meeting minutes from our last meeting on April 17th, 2025. Val, can you call the roll on that too, please?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can barely hear whoever's talking in the background now.
Yeah, Val's microphone, something's going on with her microphone. So, you know what I'm gonna do, Val? I'm gonna go ahead and call the roll because, it is really, really difficult to hear you, if that's okay.
So, hi, Lynn. This is Stephen Bong speaking.
Hey, Steven.
So I'm taking over as counsel for Chris Perrone, who has a conflict today. The only thing I wanted to add was when you do the next roll call, as if the advisory committee members present today could confirm that there's no public members where there are, and if one does appear, that they notify the Bureau. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay, you know what? Carrie has.
Lynn, do you need a motion for approval?
No, I gotta, yeah, well, no, not for the roll call. Oh, actually, you know what? Yes, because I am on the meeting minutes approval. So yes, Glenn, if you could make a motion and I could get a second, that would be appreciated.
Move to approve.
Thank
I
you.
second it.
Thank you. Okay, all right. It has been moved and seconded to approve the April 17th, 2025 minutes. Carrie, can you call the roll, please?
Yes. Shannon Baratsoff,
Aye.
Anton Farnby, not present. Frank Huntington,
Abstain as I was not present at that meeting. Oh,
okay.
strike that. I'm sorry. What meeting are we at? The April?
August,
August.
Yes, I was not there, so I'll abstain.
thank you. Mark Miller,
Aye.
Darren Morgan, Chris Sayers,
Aye.
Leon Scroggins,
Aye.
Angel Yanez,
Aye. Aye.
and Glenn Younger.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you, Carrie, appreciate that. Does anybody have any committee members have any questions or issues regarding the April meeting minutes? No, okay, thank you. Are there any public comments or questions on the agenda item for the minutes from the August meeting?
Chief,
Okay.
I'm trying to clarify. Did we just approve April or August minutes?
Just August. We approved April at the August meeting, so this is just the August meeting minutes.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm not seeing any public questions either, so we will go ahead and close out that agenda item and moving on to our next agenda item, which is agenda item number 3, the update from the Department of Consumer Affairs Executive Office. We have Lucy Saldivar, the new Board and Bureau Relations person from DCA headquarters. We're super excited to see Lucy, so welcome and yeah, welcome.
Thank you. Hi, good morning, committee members. My name is Lucy Saldivar of the California Department of Consumer Affairs, and I appreciate the opportunity to provide some updates from DCA this morning. Firstly, I would like to introduce myself formally as one of the newest members of the department's executive team. I was recently appointed by Governor Gavin Newsom to serve as the Deputy Director of Board and Bureau Relations. Prior to this appointment, I worked in the state legislature, most recently serving as Chief of Staff for Assemblymember Lisa Calderon. I also held multiple roles in the office of Assemblymember Jackie Irwin from 2017 to 2021. And I'm an alumna of the Hope Leadership Program and a member of the California Latino Capital Association Foundation. So it is a pleasure to meet all of you, see all of you virtually today. We are also happy to welcome Shelley Jones to the department's executive team. Shelley was appointed by Governor Newsom as the Assistant Deputy Director of Board and Bureau Relations, and she brings 29 years of experience. She's been with the department since 2015, serving in several capacities with DCA's Board and Bureau Relations team, in addition to the solid and organizational improvement offices. Prior to joining DCA, Shelley served in multiple roles at the Juvenile Parole Board at the California Department of Corrections. So we are very excited to be serving as your new Board and Bureau Relations team, and I know that Shelley looks forward to meeting all of you in the near future. In other news from the executive team, after 36 years of dedicated service to the Department of Consumer Affairs, DCA Director Kimberly Kirkmeyer recently announced that she will be retiring at the end of this year. Director Kirkmeyer began her career at DCA as a student assistant in 1989. She was appointed by Governor Newsom as DCA Director in 2019. And within her first 6 months on the job, she navigated severe wildfires and the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, transitioning the department's 3,500 employees to telework. Director Kirkmeyer would like for me to extend a special thank you for the honor and the opportunity to serve as your director for the past 6 years. She would also like for me to thank you for your continued hard work and dedication to the department, the state, and the consumers of California. Your work is invaluable, impactful, and integral to DCA's mission of consumer protection, and she knows that it will continue for years to come because of the extraordinary staff and members of DCA. Next, I would like to provide an update about sexual harassment prevention training. As you all may remember, sexual harassment prevention training is mandated for completion within 30 days of your appointment to the advisory committee and every 2 years thereafter. On October 27th, DCA launched its new sexual harassment prevention training in the Learning Management System, also known as LMS. If you completed the 2024-25 sexual harassment prevention training during those calendar years, the new training will automatically be assigned to your LMS account 2 months before your 2-year mark. But if you have not completed the training for 2024-25, the new version has already been assigned to your LMS account, so you should be able to log in and begin the training. And going forward, the compliance deadline will either be 2 years from the last completion date for those that took the training, or by December 27th for those that did not. Upon completion of this new sexual harassment prevention training, it will be automatically reassigned to your LMS account biannually. And if you have any questions or if you need assistance accessing the training or your LMS account, please do not hesitate to reach out to us at memberrelations@dca.ca.gov. Additionally, DCA's training unit has developed an unconscious bias training for committee members, and this training will be added to your LMS accounts in November, as well as incorporated into any onboarding for any new board members or committee members. You can find the training, your training records under the transcript section of your LMS account. But again, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out to Board and Bureau Relations. And lastly, through the Our Promise California State Employees Charitable Campaign, state employees, including board members and committee members, have the opportunity to support the nonprofit causes that they are passionate about through payroll giving or one-time donations. And these contributions have a positive impact in our communities. It's another way to show that DCA cares for Californians. The campaign runs through December 31st, and DCA should have already emailed folks, but if not, you should be receiving an email soon. And in the meantime, please contact us if you have any questions or if you'd like more information on how you can contribute. That is all from me, and I thank you all so much for the opportunity to join you today. Please let me know if you have any questions or if you are ever in need of assistance.
All right, thank you. I really appreciate you coming over here, Lucy, and welcome on board. We're super excited to have you. So I'm going to open this agenda item up for questions and comments from the committee members at this time. Does anybody have any questions or comments on this specific agenda item for Lucy? Okay, not seeing any committee questions. Do we have any questions from the public for Lucy on this particular agenda item?
All right, this is the moderator. Now is the time for attendees on WebEx to raise their hands. You can do so by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. And while we're waiting to see if we have a request, let's check in on our physical locations. Do we have anyone in the Sequoia room?
Nothing? Okay. We do have a guest, but he does not have a comment.
All right, wonderful. And member Britzoff, is there anyone over the age of 18 who would like to make a comment at your location?
No, there's no one else here with me.
All right, we don't have Farmby, Huntington, anyone at your location?
No.
Miller.
Nobody here, just me.
All right. Do we have Morgan today? I don't remember.
No.
No. Sayers, anyone at your location?
No.
Scroggins.
No.
Yanez.
No.
Younger.
No.
And there are no requests online.
Okay. All right, so we're moving on to our next agenda item then. We'll close down the public comment portion and move on to agenda item number 4. This is the fiscal office update on our budget. Please welcome Caleb Van Lint. She is our budget analyst. I believe she's the one that's going to be doing the presentation today.
Yes, thank you and good morning. My name is Kayla Van Lint and I am the budget analyst with the DCA Budget Office, and I am joined by the budget manager, Suzanne Balkis. I want to thank the Bureau and executive staff for allowing me a few minutes to present on agenda item 4, the Bureau's fund condition statement as of fiscal month 13 for the fiscal year 2024 through 2025. Please note, at the next advisory committee meeting, we will be presenting fiscal year 2025 through 2026 projections based on the 2025 Budget Act. As a reminder, we read this document from top to bottom and left to right. The left column is the Bureau's 2024 through 2025 actuals.
Hey, sorry, Kayla, I'm going to interrupt. We don't have that up. Is there, David, do we have the budget chart that we can put up?
I don't have that, but if Kayla would like to share her screen, she's welcome to.
Okay.
Yeah, let me go ahead and pull that up real quick.
And if you have the option of sharing screen or application, I suggest application over screen.
Okay, let me see. Okay, so when I go to the share, it looks like.
Hi, this is the legal counsel speaking. I think Valerie is also able to share her screen.
Oh, okay, yeah. If we can.
That.
I see a blank screen.
Yes, very gray.
If somebody wants to shoot me over a copy of it, I can try and see if I can share my screen. I tell you what, how about we skip this agenda item for now? If we can't get the figures up because the budget presentation doesn't make much sense if we can't see the numbers. So let's go ahead and skip agenda item number 4 for now, and I'll move on to agenda item number 5. And then Val and Kayla, if you guys want to try and work offline to see if we can get that back on, that would be, I'll follow back up after my welcome. Okay, sorry guys, we're going to take items a little out of order at this point. So I'm going to move on to agenda item number 5, which is the Chief's Welcome and Bureau update. First of all, just want to thank everybody for your attendance today. I appreciate the effort everybody took, even virtual. It does take some time, and I keep wanting to look behind me because I have a big picture window behind me and there's a huge tree and the storm is crazy and I keep expecting a branch to come through my window at any time. And that would spice things up for sure. Okay, so let's start off with, we still have several openings on our advisory committee. Right now we have 4 public openings. These are for public members. If you know of anybody who might be interested in serving on this committee, please let me know. I'll reach out to them. You can email me directly. lynn.jensen at dca.ca.gov is my direct email. Please feel free to email me and we'll get you started. The committee members are appointed by the director of DCA, and you can directly access an application on your own at DCA's homepage at dca.ca.gov. However, if you are a licensee, you cannot be a public member. If you are a licensee and want to be a member of the advisory committee, you have to apply for that specific opening. But at this point, we only have public openings available. As I mentioned in our last meeting, our goal in the near term for advisory committee is to start picking your brains in a real significant way about issues facing the Bureau. Just a gentle reminder that we meaning California, we have the next 2 Super Bowls, the World Cup, and the 2028 Olympics here. So that's all happening in the next 2.5 years. So this is going to be an immense amount of work for us and for our licensees. And it would be really helpful as we head into this very compressed, high profile several years that we get everybody's expertise. So towards that, I would like to draw everybody's attention to agenda item number 11, which we will be headed towards in order. This is our baton training manual. It was last updated in 2006. So it's a little out of date. The laws have changed significantly since then. And we're going to start off with just some big questions throwing your way. We're not going to get this all dialed down today. This is just to get the conversation started, to get you guys thinking about these things. And then the next meeting, we're going to have, you know, a bigger, more productive sort of rolling our sleeves up and getting that done type of dynamic. But for now, we're just going to throw these questions at you and give you a chance to chew them over, and we'll see where that discussion takes us. So finally, as always, I always encourage everybody to apply online. It is so much quicker than paper, and I will say that until my dying breath. Please apply online. At this point, I'm done with my updates, and I would like to open it up for any committee members' comments or questions. Okay, I'm not seeing any committee members' comments or questions, so I will throw this item open to the public. Any public comment or questions on this particular agenda item?
All right, this is the moderator. This is the time where WebEx members should raise their hands by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. While we are waiting for WebEx, we're going to check in with our members. If anyone has a member of the public, now is the time to speak up. While I call on Phil Shahir, I hope I said that correctly, you're going to be given 3 minutes to speak, and I'll give you a 30-second warning before your time expires. Bear with me, I'm sending you a request to unmute your microphone. Phil, are you with us? All right, Phil, I'm going to send you a second request to unmute your microphone.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Oh yeah, I wanted to ask about, well, are they going to change? I guess they're going to change the test because I'm a BSI's instructor since 1993, and I've been noticing some issues with the test that they don't seem to change the test often enough that people are able to get 100% who can't even speak or read English.
So hey,
And
Phil, I'm just gonna interrupt you. Good to see you again, Phil, by the way. But if this is about the baton manual, let's wait until that agenda item. This is just about my update. So if you have thoughts about the baton manual, save them until agenda item number 11. This is just about my update at this point.
okay, sounds good.
Okay.
All right. And last call for public comment from any of the physical locations. Seeing none, hearing none. Do you wish to continue with the agenda?
Yeah, let's try and go back to agenda item number 4. We may have solved the problem with getting it up on the screen. So moderator, if you could try on your end.
Coming right up. Bear with me just a second, please. All right. Hopefully you're looking at a PDF with the budget.
Yep. Can we make the numbers a little bigger? Is there any way we could do that?
Bear with me just a moment, please. Is that translating on your end?
Yes. Yes. Perfect. Okay. Yeah, that looks good. I think we can see it now.
I think you went one click too far. There he goes.
Okay, Kayla, you wanna try this again?
Yeah, let's try this one more time, shall we?
Okay, thank you.
All right. As stated before, this will be the Bureau's fund condition statement as of fiscal month 13 for fiscal year 2024 through 2025. Please note at the next advisory committee meeting, we will be presenting fiscal year 2025 through 2026 projections based on the 2025 Budget Act. As a reminder, we read this document from top to bottom and left to right. In the left column is the Bureau's 2024 through 2025 actuals. It shows the Bureau began 2024 through 2025 with a beginning balance of $8.893 million. The Bureau collected $18.272 million in revenues, with $7.186 million from initial license fees, $9.146 million from license renewals, and $1.940 million was collected from the issuance of citations, fines, delinquent fees, and other revenue. The Bureau expended $17.030 million, which includes $1.110 million in direct draws to the Fund for Statewide Pro Rata and Pension Payments. The Bureau ended 2024 through 2025 with $10.135 million reserve balance, or about 5.9 months in reserve. For the current year, 2025 to 2026, the Bureau projects revenues of $20.499 million, with $4.352 million projected from initial license fees, $11.597 million from renewal fees, and $1.550 million from the issuance of citations, fines, delinquent fees, and other revenue. The Bureau's 2025 through 2026 expenditures are based on the 2025 Budget Act at $20.667 million between authorized expenditures and direct draws to the fund, leaving the Bureau with a fund balance of approximately $9.967 million, or 5.7 months in reserve. The Budget Office will continue to monitor the Bureau's revenue and expenditures and report back to the Bureau with monthly expenditure projections as we continue in the current fiscal year. A few things to note of the Bureau's fund condition. The fund condition is a snapshot in time. One of the main factors driving expenditure increases in future years is a result of personal service adjustments. These include general salary increases, as well as employee compensation and retirement rate adjustments. The Budget Office includes a conservative ongoing 3% increase to expenditures on the fund condition statement to account for these ongoing incremental adjustments. You will also notice revenue is projected static in the out years. Lastly, I would like to note the Bureau that any future legislation or unanticipated events could result in the Bureau's need for additional resources, which would create cost pressure on the fund. The Budget Office will continue to monitor the Bureau's fund condition statement and keep the line of communication with the Bureau's executive staff open for any future needs or expectations. Again, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to present today at today's meeting, and I will be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Okay, thank you. So I'll kick it open to, I will kick it open to committee members. Any questions or comments for our budget officer on our finances? Okay, Leon, I see your hand raised.
My memory from 3 years ago, weren't we looking at months in reserve 2 to 3 years ago, only like 2 or 3 months, so the reserve balance is positively increased? Am I remembering correctly?
So we increased our prices. We had the legislature sign off on a fee increase some years ago, and we have been doing it in stages. So we implemented another fee increase as of October 1. So that has improved it. We've also pinched pennies like you wouldn't believe over the last few years. We've saved money because we weren't sure what the fiscal outlook looked like. We weren't sure when we were going to be able to increase fees. So we did a whole bunch of cost saving measures. So that's all sort of added up, and it's made our financial picture a lot rosier than it was about this time last year.
Thank you, Chief.
Yeah. Any other committee members, questions about the budget? Nope. Okay. All right, I will go ahead and open the agenda item to the public. Any public members have any questions or comments on the Bureau's budget numbers?
Now is the time for people to raise their hands on WebEx. You can do so by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise your hand. And while we're at it, let's check in with our physical locations to see if there's anyone over the age of 18 who wishes to make a public comment on the budgets.
We do. Just one moment. Can you hear me okay? Let me try this out again.
You're pretty soft, but it is okay.
Okay, keep turning the volume up. I'll move the speaker.
Moderator, do we have any raised hands? Oh, okay, yes, it looks like we do.
None online.
None online, okay. All right, okay, I'm not seeing any, yes, Val.
Yeah, this is Dr. Dana Mario here with the Physical Surgery. And I have a question regarding 4163000. What exactly are our surplus money investments? Why is the reason?
Val, I can hear someone talking in the background. Is it possible to bring them closer?
Yes, let me see what I can do here. Right?
Can you hear me now?
Not good enough.
No? Okay. Let me try this.
We can hear you for the first time, Val.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Val is good enough. If we could get our speaker to sit next to Val or with or
I
in
know
place
who
of
it
Val.
is. Tell Shane to just sit in front of the computer. Shane, we can't hear you way over there. You gotta kind of lean into the computer and yell.
You're saying what I can't unplug everything.
Again, can you hear me now?
That sounds
Yes.
great.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, get as close as you can, Shane, because for some reason the audio from that laptop is really,
Wait a
really
second.
faint.
We're experiencing technical difficulties here.
That's good. That's good enough, Shane. Please go ahead.
Let me. Okay, so you can hear us, but now we're having problems hearing you, I believe. For just one moment. Okay, can you hear us okay?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, okay, white. That's good.
This thing, can you hear me?
Yes.
Got it. The microphone. On commercial. Again, this is Dr. Shane M. Clary with Bay Alarm Company, also representing the California Alarm Association, CAA. And I have a question regarding your revenue line item 4163,000, income from surplus money investments. Exactly what are in those funds? And I see that it is currently at, it's like $512,000, 512, but it appears to be dropping to 331. And why is it being projected that that funding will be dropping?
I don't know about the budget folks, but I could not hear that at all. Shane, if you want to send me your question, like that might work better at this point. I can't hear you, and I'm fairly certain the budget folks can't hear you either. I'm so sorry, and it sounds like a kind of a detailed question, so I don't know that we're going to be able to do a good back and forth here. I have to apologize. WebEx had an update that pushed out to everybody this morning, and we all did dry runs and everything, and it was working fine. And then this update happened, and everything's gone haywire now. So I'm sorry about this.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have a computer with the computer I'm
No,
on.
I mean, like at some point, like maybe not like right now, but if you can email me that question, I can get you an answer and we can discuss it at the next meeting, because it's a little difficult to do this back and forth with such faulty volume control.
Okay, I'll reserve the question for later.
Okay. Okay, sorry about that. And there were no other questions from what I understand. Moderator, was that the only public question that we had?
I believe that's the only public question that we had. We might want to check in with member Scroggins.
Okay. Oh, yes, Leon, I see your hand up. Yes, okay.
Yeah, I was able to hear most of what Shane asked, and he was asking about budget item 4163,000. Wanted to know why there's $512,000 in the surplus money investments and what those funds may be and why it's projected to go down over the next coming years.
Oh, income from surplus. Okay, yeah, Kayla, do you want to address that?
Hi, I'm Suzanne Balkis, the budget manager, and I can answer that question.
Okay.
So this is any interest that occurs, and it is based on a percentage. And so anything that you accumulate or you save and everything, it is the interest paid to the fund. So we are projecting it lower because it varies. So it can be higher, it can be lower. It depends about how much you have in the fund and how much you are spending. And so we are trying to be conservatively projecting ongoing at a lower percentage. So the 512 is the actual the interest rate that was paid to the fund. The 331 is what we are projecting for 25-26. That could also change. And then we are projecting lower just to be conservative.
Okay, so it's an interest.
Yes, interest paid because of the revenue collected as well as the expenditure spent. So whatever left in the fund to collect interest, it's almost like a saving account when you have it and then you collect interest on it. It's almost the same thing.
Okay.
So I take it this money is just in like a CD or a money market?
I'm sorry, I cannot hear the question.
Shane, can you repeat it?
Yeah, I'll try again here. So I take it the funds are either like in a CD or a money market?
Are the funds in a CD or a money market?
You got it.
I will have to look that. I have to search that for you. I do not have the answer to you right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, are we done? Shane, was that, okay. Okay, Shane, we'll get that information for you. We'll get it sent to you, and if we don't get it before the next meeting, certainly by the next meeting for sure. Okay. All right, so we are not seeing any more public comment or questions on that particular agenda item. And keeping in mind that I've already done my agenda item, we are going to item number 6, the Bureau's staffing report. So we are going to have our policy unit manager, Carrie Ortman, give the staffing report. So you want to go ahead, Carrie?
Good morning, and I apologize on theme for the day. I also am having technical difficulties, so I am not on camera. My camera's not working today. And now for the staffing report. The Bureau has 73.9 permanent full-time positions in addition to temporary staff. As of October 1st, 2025, the Bureau has a 4% vacancy rate, which equates to 3 vacant positions. Management is working to fill all of those positions as soon as possible. And that is the staffing report.
Thank you, Carrie. I appreciate that. Do we have any questions from committee members? Questions, comments, issues on this particular agenda item? Okay, not seeing any. I will go ahead and kick it open to members of the public on this particular agenda item. Any questions or comments on the staffing report for the Bureau?
All right, this is the moderator. For our members on WebEx, now is the time to raise a hand. You can do so by tapping a hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise your hand. And while we're waiting for WebEx, let's check in with our physical locations. Does anyone wish to make a comment?
None at the physical location.
All right, and none on WebEx.
Okay, fabulous. All right, so moving on to agenda item number 7, which is the Bureau's licensing unit report. So we will have our amazing licensing chief, Andrea Daly, present this report.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. So on October 1st, the Bureau implemented a fee increase. The implementation was successful. All applications and form updates were completed and posted on the Bureau's website. Licensing is also in the final stages of updates being made to the Security Guard online and paper application to ensure compliance with Senate Bill 652. Finally, the licensing unit has multiple vacancies at this time. We are actively engaged in recruiting in the interview process, focusing on filling all vacant positions. We are also doing our best to use staffing resources from all 3 licensing units, trying to ensure processing times are not heavily impacted. However, the company licensing unit has been directly impacted, and processing times and turnaround times may be a bit longer than usual as we're currently operating with reduced capacity. And that is all for my update.
Thank you, Andrea. Okay, anybody have any questions on licensing update for our licensing chief? The moderator did put up our numbers. This is our licensing population as of the beginning of last month, October. So I'm not seeing any committee members with questions. Okay, so we'll move to public members. Any questions at physical locations or online?
Bear with me just a moment. For our online participants, now is the time to raise a hand. You can do so by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise a hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. And while we're waiting for WebEx, let's check in with our physical locations. Does anyone have a member of the public who wishes to speak? Members, please raise your hand, or Valerie, please raise a hand. All right, I see none on WebEx, and I see none from our physical locations.
Okay, all right. Moving on to agenda item number 8. This is our enforcement unit report. So we're going to have our equally awesome Chief of Enforcement, MJ, go ahead and give this report. MJ, take it away.
All right. Good morning, everyone. I'm happy to provide an enforcement update, and I'll begin with the disciplinary review unit. Between July 1st and October 1st, the unit issued 751 application denials, 680 based on criminal convictions, and 71 due to firearm prohibits. Moving on to case management units, they manage and facilitate all cases referred to the AG's Office for Appeals, Denials, and Formal Discipline. To date, there are 77 BSIS cases pending at the AG's office regarding complaint intake. Complaint resolution units between July 1st and October 1st, the Bureau received 1,166 complaints across all license types. This trend continues. We're actually on pace for approximately 28% increase over last fiscal year total of complaints. Additionally, we hired 2 limited term staff service analysts in September, and our intake team continues to meet processing benchmarks, averaging just 3 days from complaint receipt. In addition, the complaint resolution efforts have resulted in over $25,000 in consumer savings so far this fiscal year. Now onto our enforcement units. We also hired a special investigator in October 2025 to help support unlicensed activity. Unlicensed activity remains an enforcement priority. Currently, 23% of all pending investigations involve unlicensed actors, and 57% of all of our citations issued this fiscal year are tied to unlicensed activity. Regarding caseloads, remain steady across the unit with an average of 71 complaints and 28 inspections per enforcement analyst. And the average time to close a complaint is at 71 days, which reflects the team's continued efficiency under a high workload. And that is the update. Thank you.
Thanks, MJ. Okay, I'll kick it open to committee members. Anybody have any questions or comments for MJ or anything on the enforcement update? Okay, I am not seeing any questions from committee members, so we'll open it up for public comment or questions.
All right, WebEx, now is the time for people to raise their hands. You can do so by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. While we're waiting for WebEx, let's check in with our physical locations, and I see a hand up from Valerie. Val, do you have a member of the public who wishes to speak?
Yes, David, can you hear me? Should I repeat it or shall I try to type it in the chat?
I can hear you. Please repeat it.
Of the 35 complaints for alarm company operators, how many of those were for unlicensed?
Okay, so the question is, of the 35 complaints for alarm company operators, how many of those were for unlicensed activity?
MJ, did you hear that?
Of the 35 licensed operators, how many were unlicensed activity?
So for the ACOs, how many of the complaints were for unlicensed?
I could get that information.
Okay. Well, yeah, we don't have it broken down quite that detailed, Shane, so we'll have to, that's another one we're going to have to get back to you on.
Thank you.
Okay,
I
do we
think
have
that
any other questions or comments from members of the public?
I believe the member Scroggins.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
sorry, Leon.
Yeah, I know, I'm not public, kind of, sort of, but for future meetings, when this chart that we're looking at for complaints that lists the actual numbers by license type, is there a way to put another column in where you could break them out by complaints versus unlicensed activity that would kind of answer that individual's question in the future?
So I'll kick that over to Sam, because Sam's our numbers guy at the moment. He has, it's, I will let Sam answer on whether or not that is something that we can do for future meetings.
Yeah, it's definitely something we can look at. We used to have more of the unlicensed activity stuff on there. But right now we're at the beginning of the fiscal year, so it's usually towards the end of the fiscal year we have better data to provide you. But that's something we can look at with the staff report for next time.
Thank you, Sam.
Okay, I don't see any other questions from committee members, members of the public.
None from members of the public on WebEx.
Okay. All right. Okay. So next up, we will go ahead and move on to agenda item number 9. This is our legislative update, and I'm also going to include a policy and update on this agenda item, and Carrie Ortman, our policy unit manager, will also be presenting here.
Hi, good morning again. And just to reiterate, my camera is not on because I'm having technical difficulties today. Our 2025 legislative update, Assembly Bill 558, would have specified that alarm system includes a video system in which an analog or digital video signal travels from the camera to video monitoring stations. If engaging in the activities of an alarm company operator will include the use of an alarm system, alarm company licensure will be required. This bill is now a 2-year bill and will not be moving forward in the current session. Senate Bill 652 would require an applicant for a security guard registration to complete a course in the exercise of the power to arrest and the appropriate use of force by a single course provider, and to be completed within 6 months preceding the date the application is submitted to the Bureau. The bill would authorize a licensee to administer, test, and certify the specified trainings only to their applicants for employment and direct employees. The bill would also require the statement of training course completion include that the course was completed within 6 months preceding the date the application is submitted to the Bureau. The bill was chaptered by the Secretary of State on October 1st. Pardon me. Assembly Bill 667 by January 1st, 2027 would require various boards and bureaus under the jurisdiction of the Department of Consumer Affairs to include an additional section in a license application for the applicant to identify preferred written, spoken, and sign languages. Beginning on July 1st, 2027, each board would be required to conduct an annual review of applicants' language preferences and determine whether there were a substantial number of non-English speaking applicants who required an interpreter. The bill was ordered to inactive file at the request of Senator Durazo on September 11th. Senate Bill 470 would change the repeal date from January 1st, 2026 to January 1st, 2030 for the Bagley-Keene Open Meeting Act provisions, authorizing a state body and multi-member state advisory bodies to hold a meeting by teleconference subject to specified requirements and alternative teleconferencing. This bill was chaptered by the Secretary of State on October 1st. Assembly Bill 742 would require boards within the Department of Consumer Affairs to expedite applicants who are descendants of American slaves seeking licensure once the process to certify descendants of American slaves is implemented as specified. The provisions of this bill would become operative only if SB 518 it was enacted, establishing the Bureau for Descendants of American Slavery. This bill was vetoed by the governor on October 13th. Our final bill, Senate Bill 641, would authorize boards under the jurisdiction of the Department of Consumer Affairs to waive the application of certain provisions of licensure requirements for licensees and applicants who reside in or whose primary place of business is in a location damaged by a natural disaster for which a state of emergency is proclaimed by the governor, or for which an emergency or major disaster is declared by the President of the United States, including laws pertaining to certain examination, licensing fees, and continuing education requirements. This bill was vetoed by the governor on October 13th. And that concludes the legislative update.
All right, thank you. It sounds like we completed that just in time, Carrie. You sound like you're running out of gas there at the end. So thank you for that. Any questions or comments on legislation impacting the Bureau from our committee members? Okay, I am not seeing any hands raised. Okay, throw it open to public comment or questions on the legislative update.
All right, public comment for agenda item 9. Please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. And while we're waiting for hands to raise on WebEx, we're going to ask our members to indicate if there is anyone who would like to speak. And on WebEx, we have a request from Phil. Hold on just a moment, please. We're going to send you a request to unmute your microphone. As before, you'll be given 3 minutes to speak, and I'll give you a 30-second warning before your time expires.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I wanted to clarify on that security guard's training requirement before submitting the application. Now, usually they had 8 hours training, and then you could submit your application. This thing sounds like you got to complete the whole course before you submit the application, which is 40 hours. So what's the regulation on that?
So we're not writing any regs on it. The law is clear enough to stand on its face, and that's actually the first time I've heard that interpretation of it. We haven't gotten that, so we'll take that. And the 6-month requirement is just for the powers to arrest training, not the whole 40 hours. It's just the 8 hours initial.
Oh, okay. It didn't say 8 hours. Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
What about the 32-hour requirement? Is that still required? Because I'm getting security guards coming in, didn't have the 32 hours, and they supposedly were told that they didn't need the 32 hours.
Yes, that is still required.
That's what I thought. What about on the 8 hours? I'm also hearing some security guards said that they only had 4 hours and that was it. I'm like, no, you're supposed to have 8 hours.
It's
What's
8
the story
hours.
on
It's
that?
supposed to be, it breaks down now after AB 229 passed, which was about 5 years ago. It changed our training, the 8 hours, training requirement. So it's about 5 hours of use of force and 3 hours of powers to arrest. Some of that has to be in person, and the law basically says, you need to, are you talking about the initial training, Phil, or the continuing ed training?
The initial.
The initial, okay. So the first 8-hour training, yeah, it's 5 hours of use of force and 3 hours of powers to arrest. And now it's always had to be done by one trainer, and your certificate gets signed by one trainer. And once the in-person requirement changed, where you now have to do certain subjects in person, mandated, what online trainers were doing were just teaching the online portion and letting the student go wander off and try and find somebody to complete his training. And that was a huge enough problem where we only accept one training certificate with one trainer's name on it. You can't split it up. It has to be single source from a single provider. And so this law, SB 652 Richardson, that just passed, that clarifies that. So nothing else has changed in terms of you still need the full 8 hours to apply for a guard card.
Okay. Is there something stated to that fact? Because I couldn't find anything stating you need 8 hours initially.
Yeah, you look at our regs. It's 643, the California Code of Regulations, 640, hang on. Let me get the code book.
Because
And
I'm hearing from
we have guidance and we have information on this on our website. So
Yeah,
yeah,
Phil,
643. Go ahead, Sam, sorry.
Yeah, 643 in the regs, but also all the information on training is available on our website. There's training information on the fact sheets, on the applications themselves. All that information is there.
Okay, because I'm hearing from security guards that some of them only had 4 hours training. I'm like, where did they get that information? So I'm just curious. Has anything changed?
Okay, any other questions from the public at this point?
Yes, indeed. Next, we're going to call on Michael Lynn Hahn. Hold on just a moment, please. We're sending you a request to unmute your microphone.
Good morning. They can hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay, so I've been dealing with this powers of arrest, appropriate use of force stuff. I think we finally got it nailed down. We're doing the full 8 hours in person, and that's helped a lot. My biggest concern is this interpreters. We're saying we're going to start that? Is this actually looking at starting to allow people the test being given in other languages, etc.? Because I'll be honest with you, we've got a major problem right now of people coming, they don't speak or understand a lick of English and think they can get their guard cards. And my biggest concern is they're out there, if they have a communication issue already, how can they communicate with the public, law enforcement, or anybody else if they can't communicate? So hopefully,
I have to apologize. I couldn't catch the first half of your question. Do you mind repeating that, please, Michael?
Sure. So my biggest one of my biggest concerns, I'm addressing the interpreters. Are we looking? Is BIS actually looking at saying we can go and these people that are trying to get their guard cards, baton permits, firearms permits, etc., that they can start taking tests that are in other languages and using interpreters? We have that same problem right now with the California commercial driver's licenses.
So we don't give out tests in languages other than English.
Okay. And that's what I thought. But when I look at this and it says examinations and interpreters, that's where this is getting really a little almost scary, to be honest, from my industry as an employer as well.
Where are you seeing that?
Well,
Mike, are you talking about one of the bills?
And interpreters, Bill 667.
Oh, yeah, no, Carrie, what happened with that? Did that bill die? Sorry,
Yes, the
Carrie.
bill was, yes, sorry, I was unmuting. The bill was ordered to the inactive file on September
Okay.
11th.
Well, I missed that whole section where you said that. I apologize there because I'm be honest, as an employer, I'm sitting there cringing.
Well, and the other thing about that bill, I think as it went through the process, if you look at the language, where it started and where it's at now, the legislature moved it to doing a study. It sounds like they wanted programs to actually do a study to determine if this is needed. So that was the last revision that I had saw.
Okay, yeah, and that's almost the way when I looked at it, like it was a study, but it kept saying that it had to be redone and how many people this was here and whether they were going to move on to a possible change in it. And that's again, as both as instructor as well as an employer, it was scary. I've had people come in and they do, they're other languages and they have to turn to somebody else to explain what's going on. But this is the book. If you can't read this, we're going to have a problem.
Okay, do we have any other questions on legislation at this point?
Nope, I did not see anything, so thank you very much. Have a good day.
Okay, any other members of the public with any other questions?
All right. We had one other hand up that has gone down. We're going to give you just a couple seconds to put it back up if you need to speak. All right, does not look like there's any from WebEx.
Okay, all right, so we'll go ahead and move on to the next agenda item, which is number 10, which is the update on enacted or pending regulations. I will kick it over to Carrie for this.
This is me again, and thankfully this is a shorter update. So our first regs review will be fees. That regulation package was approved by the Office of Administrative Law on June 17th and became effective on October 1st, 2025. The notice of approval is posted on the Bureau's website. Exam application repeal terminology and training related updates regulatory package is approaching the concept phase. A notice will be posted on the Bureau's website once we are there. Disciplinary and denial guidelines regulation package is approaching the production phase, and a notice will be posted on the Bureau's website when it is released for publication. And that is the regulation update.
Fabulous. Thank you, Carrie. Do we have questions or comments from committee members on the this agenda item on our regs? Okay, I'm not seeing any hands raised here. Okay, all right, I'll kick it over to members of the public. Any questions or comments on this agenda item?
Now is the time to raise your hand for agenda item 10. Please do so by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. And while we're waiting for WebEx, let's check in with our physical locations. Members, please raise a hand if you have somebody who wishes to make a comment. Seeing none from WebEx and seeing none from our members, do you wish to continue?
Yes. Okay, we will go ahead and finish off that agenda item. And now we are moving on to agenda item number 11. So this is the discussion regarding upcoming Bureau Baton Training Manual updates. As I mentioned at the beginning of this meeting, we need to update our baton manual. It was last updated by a group of experts in 2006. We have had countless legislative updates, a big one just last year. The update last year mandated that we take all aspects of the baton permitting process back into BSIS. If you recall, we used to send out baton permits, actual baton permits, the hard copies, to training facilities. They would train their folks. They would issue the cards, the permits, write it down on a list, and then send us the list where we would enter it into our system. We've changed all of that. As of January 1, 2024, so this has now been in place for almost 2 years, we do the issuing. You send all your qualifications to us. We, look at it the same way we look at other weapons applications, and then we issue you a permit or we deny it. So this process has been in place for almost 2 years now, and our baton permits have dropped substantially in that time. Now, because it used to be a lifetime permit, it's not surprising that we have had some decline in the numbers for baton permits, because you have to imagine that people who got this permit back in the 70s and 80s probably aren't active anymore. So we expected some decline, but we've seen a pretty precipitous decline. The numbers are now about half of what they were, or half of what they are for our firearms permits. So this brought up several big questions that we have, and so this is kind of where we'll start off. But I also want to ask each member to kind of individually think of this from your industry's perspective. Some of you won't have any perspective on this, and that's fine too. But what I would like to do to start off is I just kind of want to go around and have our industry members and our members, Darren, I want to include you on this as well, give a little bit about yourself so that everybody on the committee can understand what your point of view is and where you're coming from and what field you're in. So I'll go ahead and call on all the committee members. If you could just give like a sentence or two about what field you're in, that would be helpful. So let's start off with Leon. Leon, can you give us an update who you are, what industry you represent?
Yes, Leon Scroggins. I represent the repossession industry, and I've been in the industry since 1972.
And you guys do not have baton permits in your industry, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right, so let's move on to Angel Yanez. Angel.
Good morning. I represent a member as the training facilities. I also am a QM for a security business and my current employer, and I baton and fireman instructor as well.
So hopefully you'll have a lot of thoughts about this.
Yes, I hope
Like,
so.
this is your time to shine, man.
Yeah.
All the little things that have bothered you about this manual for 20 years, like now's your chance. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. So thank you for that. Looking forward to Angel's contributions here. Shannon.
Hi, yeah, Shannon Baratsoff. I represent the alarm industry, and we do not have any sort of baton training that I'm
Yeah, you
aware of.
guys have firearms, but no batons. Yeah. Okay, Mark.
Hi, Mark Miller. I represent security industry, and yes, we have batons on the side of the house.
Yep. Okay, Chris Sayers.
Yes, I currently represent the private proprietary security side of the world. I've been with that side of the world now in my career here with Disney for 15 years, and I was in law enforcement for 29. So I've got a lot of background in the use of and the different types of impact weapons. But currently, as you know, PPSO does not have any batons under our licensing for anyone.
Right, yes, and I knew that you were former law enforcement, so I think that's where, we'll lean on you with this, because you are correct, proprietary does not carry any weapons, but you do have this lifetime before that of experience that we'll be tapping into. So happy about that. Frank.
Thanks, Chief. Private investigator, industry representative, been a PI since 1992. It sounds like alarm companies, we do have firearms QM cards, but we do not have baton or impact training.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, Glenn.
Unmute. Glenn Younger, representing locksmiths. We do not have any input.
Yeah, I don't think locksmiths have any weapons. So.
Yes.
Okay, all right, Darren Morgan, you're our public member, but do you want to give a little bit of background on why you're on our panel?
Yes, will do. Darren Morgan, I'm with Huntington Hospital. I'm also a practitioner and have been since 1996. And presently, we're not using batons as of the law change requiring batons to be used only by those working under a PPO.
Yeah, okay. All right, so that's everybody. I don't think I've missed anybody. That's all of our industry members and all of our members that are here today on our advisory committee. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and just, these are some of the big questions that I kind of want to. Okay, so first of all, my question for everybody is, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, all right, cool. Now, do I need to make it bigger?
Please.
Yes, please.
Can everybody see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so these are sort of the bigger discussion pieces, and I kind of want to go through this a little bit, not in detail, but just sort of to get everybody on thinking about this. So we'll just do a little bit of back and forth, and this is for you guys to kind of take back to your offices and sit and chew this over. And then I will be corresponding with you guys if you need to in between meetings. If you have questions or comments or suggestions, please feel free to send them to us. We will all be working on this, so you can send it to any one of us, ideas. And I'm talking to public members as well and members of the public. Please feel free, we want to be as inclusive as possible here. So the first question that we had, once we started looking at the numbers, is does the industry want batons? The licensing numbers are declining, and it's currently about half of where we were or where we are with firearms. So I'd like to start off with that, and then tying in an ancillary question, which is, are you more or less inclined in your field to use a baton versus another weapon? So I'm going to go ahead and start calling on folks. So Darren, I'm going to call on you first. And again, you might not have any insight here, but just like, do you feel batons are valuable, and are they useful in your field?
They do have some value as a deterrent and useful in that regard. However, I think it was AB 229 that changed the availability of batons to make it only available for those who are working under a current PPO. And interestingly enough, since that change, the need by our officers to use batons has dropped off significantly. And quite frankly, I'm not sure that there is a need for them in our particular area. We've not had any incidences where staff have been injured at a greater rate prior to the use of batons. We've actually seen that number decline. So we can't really justify the use, but I know that there are many out there who prefer to have them on their side.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, and I'm just going to move down down the line here on my screen. So Chris Sayers, you're next up. What do you think? I know you guys don't use it, but you know, your take as former law enforcement is still really valuable.
Yeah, it's funny because I think batons do have a place in the, the force continuum, or however you want to refer to it. Because again, if you're in a situation where you're being attacked, or you are fighting for your own safety or someone else's that may be getting assaulted significantly. So you got to give options, right? So if you're not going to go with an impact weapon, I would recommend, as we get into this, look at what types. Are we talking batons, PR-24s, ASPs, or expandable batons, or OPNs, the nunchucks? There's lots of options as well. So when you look at the impact weapons, they do not only have a deterrent purpose, they have a real one. And without a baton, you'd have to be resorting to either hands-on pepper spray, which has a very limited effect, as well as it more often affects the sprayer than the sprayee if there's drugs or alcohol involved. So that's the problem with pepper spray from my personal experience. It does work, but it works as much on us as it does on them. And then let alone, we went through a period, law enforcement, where tasers were a very popular choice. But then as incidents got more severe with taser usage, kind of they fell out of favor with the public, but law enforcement still certainly appreciates how good they are. So you got to give them choices. So I think there is a place for a baton. If I were on the other side of the aisle with licensing, I would be looking at making sure proper trained and of course proper usage. But I think they have a place. But again, we can't carry them here at all.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, Leon, I'll turn to you to get whatever input you have.
The repossession industry is a little bit different than everybody else that you license, because we operate under basically one law, which is Uniform Commercial Code 9609, that says we can do our job without a breach of the peace. And so if a repossessor has to use a baton or a weapon to enact a repossession, the court or jury may consider that a breach of the peace. So in our regulations, we have nothing that regulates the use of a baton or a weapon that says we can or cannot have one. It's kind of an individual choice for personal protection. But if it ever gets before a judge or a jury on a breach of the peace issue, the use of that baton or a weapon could become a major factor. So that's why I don't think it's part of our industry at all.
Yeah, we don't have the repossessors coming to us asking for weaponry. That's not been my experience in my, nearly 7 years here. So.
Yeah, their court case is just the fact that the debtor saw a repossessor with a weapon, not even used or presented. It's just the fact that they saw a weapon. There's been some courts that have handed out rulings that was a breach of the peace. And of course, that created more problems. So yeah, so it's just one of those underlying things in our industry that we try to stay away from anything that could be construed as a breach of the peace.
Right. Yeah. To keep it clean, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Glenn, I what sort of leeway do locksmiths have in terms of weaponry?
None.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
You guys don't get any. Sorry about
No.
that. Okay, so I'm gonna turn to Frank then. Frank, what is the PI's point of view on batons, if you have any?
We would never, well, we're never in uniform, number one, to begin with, and so we would never, I don't think it's applicable to us at all.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, let me see, okay, so, Angel, I'm gonna leave you to last, just because I have a feeling you're gonna have the most thoughts on this, so I'm gonna, have you weigh in last here, if you don't mind. Because I'm gonna have to take notes, I'm sure, so.
Yes, I think one of the biggest things right now and why that's such a big decline is everybody was used to the baton permit being a lifetime permit, and now we're telling the licensees again, now we have to renew every 2 years, and that's kind of difficult for a lot of people. I know the fees went up, and then training facilities prices go up depending on what they have going on, and it's kind of difficult. Uh, I do feel that there's a need for batons, uh, but I think a lot of employers, and this is just what I hear from students, is an employer who's asking for an armed guard is not looking for also a baton permit. They're also just looking for the armed guard. So there's never a real requirement to have a firearm and a baton. And a lot of times there's no requirement. It's easier just to get the firearm permit and don't worry about the baton. And also, uh, it's the people are going to spend less money if they're going to obtain a taser certification instead of going to a baton, because the taser, you have a little bit more distance to use that with people. But I've seen that it's just difficult right now for a lot of people just to go to that continuous training. And I know a lot of people like, well, I'm just happy with the gun. Right now, times are like either you're a gun guy or a baton guy. And a lot of guys are just sticking with their firearm, even though I think they need to have both and a taser and just different force options and not just the gun, because in a time of crisis, you want to have other options. But I think right now it's a financial thing for a lot of people. And I understand that we need to have training out there, and I get it. And I agree with the training. I agree with the every 2 years, but it's just difficult on people financially just for the regular guard. I'm not talking about the supervisors or managers or the QMs. The regular line people, it makes it kind of difficult for them at times.
Yeah, yeah. And sorry, Angel, I'm gonna, I'm working off of a tiny little square on my screen, so I skipped over Shannon and Mark. So Shannon, what thoughts do you have about this, if any?
I have no thoughts on baton training, so I'm sorry I can't contribute. But I did want to say my computer may die before this meeting is over, and I don't have a charger. I've had a heck of a morning. So if I all of a sudden disappear, it's not because I wanted to. The computer has decided not to work with me. So
I'm sorry. Yes, it's been a fun morning all around, I think. Yes.
Technology has not been my friend today. So
it's been nobody's friend today. In fact, I feel like it's out to get us today. So yeah, no worries. Thank you for letting us know. Okay, Mark.
Hi. I thought that both Chris and Angel made very good comments. My opinion is on the security industry side, yes, we need batons. You don't see a lot of stuff in the news, or there's not a lot of anecdotal stories about use with of a baton, but I think we need them for two reasons. First of all, we have clients, we have contractual obligations. It's not a lot, but some of our clients want batons, and those are almost always armed people with a firearm. And so, secondly, why we would want them is number two, they're tools. So maybe a firearm can, I think Chris said it was called the continuum of escalation. So for that reason, I believe in the baton. And then yes, it needs to be regulated. The baton is my opinion. I kind of, we had that lifelong permit, and I thought I agreed with Angel. Wow, this is going to cost the officers a lot of money to renew every 2 years, or it's going to cost somebody money, But it is a perishable skill, and so I think I don't see a lot of use of baton in the security industry, but I think we need to, yes, we do need batons in the security industry.
Hello, can folks hear me?
Hello? Sorry.
Hello?
Hi,
Anton?
Anton.
Hi,
Oh,
this is
Anton. Oh, yeah. Hey, Anton. Sorry. I didn't see you show up.
no, I've been here. I've been here the entire time.
Oh, goodness.
I couldn't engage the buttons. None of the buttons would work, and I couldn't contact the moderator. I couldn't speak to anyone.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's just,
It has. I'm telling. WebEx pushed out a new update, and that update has just been a peach.
no, it's okay. I wanted to make sure. I mean, it's been a really great meeting. I just have not been able to engage at all. And I sent the email to Valerie, and I'm like, hey, I don't know what's happening here, but I've been here the entire time, and none of the buttons were working. So I just wanted to let you all know I'm here.
Thank you.
Yeah, I do, if I may, I do have I had some questions on quite a few of the reports, but if I may, Chief, I do have an opinion on this baton thing.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm sorry. So Anton Farmby, SEIU, United Service Workers West, we represent security officers in the state of California. I work on the union side of the industry. I think, look, what I can say, at least what I hear from my members, is there's been a growing concern around safety in the industry, particularly when we talk about like the unhoused sort of community and how that presence around some of the facilities that our members work. I've heard all types of stories. I've heard like attacks, spitting, foul language, attempt stabbings, all sorts of things. And so when we talk about batons, I see it as a tool of protection for the officers, because I know that some clients, like what Mark was mentioning, do request it, but at least on my side of the gate, it's not that often. It's more so around firearms. And if you have a firearm, usually you'll have a baton, usually in most cases. But the hard uniform folks do not. And the soft uniforms do not. And so while I would say generally would probably not be in favor, but I just kind of like hearing from my members, I see it as like as a tool that they can use to protect themselves. Specifically, like over the last year and a half, they've been becoming more and more prevalent in some of the complaints and concerns that my membership have been pitching our way.
Yeah, because keep in mind, we get inquiries quite often, regularly, a lot, asking us about less than lethal options. That's a big thing. So this is a less than lethal option that doesn't seem to be being utilized at the same extent it was several decades ago. So that's kind of what we're trying to get at. We're trying to figure out like what has changed, what, customs in the industry have changed, what exactly is going on. And then that will lead us on a bigger, the bigger questions will lead us towards, the more refined issues that we need to do to update the manual. So, okay, so doing that. Okay, so it sounds as though industry uses has changed in the last 30 years. It sounds like technology has changed in the last 30 years. But I want to get, because a couple of you have kind of touched on this, like, they were in favor and they're out of favor. Tasers were in favor and now they're less in favor. What kind of batons are you guys seeing out there? So I'm gonna start with this I'm gonna start with Mark this time. Mark, what kind of batons, and has the technology changed?
To my knowledge, that on the baton itself, I don't know of any new technology. I think you have the two different batons, and I don't know of any involvement with the baton itself.
Yeah.
If that's the question you're asking.
Yeah, like I know there are different types of batons, and I don't know if one is more in favor with folks than the other. So it was just one of those things that if we know what kind of batons people are using and why, that is also a good that's a good knowledge point to work off of. So And if you don't
I
know that,
can
you don't know that, you know.
I can gather that information on the contracts that we do use them and give you that information. I think it's
Yeah,
valuable information.
it is valuable. I'm very curious because if, oh, we use this because X, Y, and Z, and we don't touch this because it, you know, it sticks, it doesn't, you know, collapse, like, you know,
Yeah,
it'd be good information to have.
absolutely.
Okay. All right. And then Anton, I'm going to come back to you. I'm just kind of going in the order of which people are appearing underneath me. So Anton, do you know anything about technology or how or why usage has changed, or if it has changed in the last few decades?
Well, I think in baton, I'm only aware of the two standard batons. I'm not aware of any technological advances in batons. Not that I'm aware of. I mean, again, not many of our folks, other than the armed guards, carry them, but that's not the bulk of our membership. But the bulk of our membership is unarmed. So I'm not aware of any technological advances regarding it, and I do believe that the perceptions of the use of force around the batons, obviously, I think kind of carries a somewhat of a negative connotation as to why maybe there's two of them. Maybe one of them is used for like a more heavier, application than the other. But I'm not aware of anything other than that.
Okay, thank you. And Glenn, do you have any insight here? No?
Nothing.
Okay.
Sorry.
Right. No, that's okay. That's okay. All right. Darren, as both a, a public member and in the field, what do you think?
We've been using the collapsible baton prior to the Impact Baby 229. I know that fixed batons are considered the old school, but effective. If you were to say by manufacturer, there's several out there. We went to the Peacekeeper, which is larger in diameter, a little bit heavier, but also longer, collapsible, simply because it provided the guards with additional distance between themselves and the threat.
Okay.
So there are different manufacturers out there that can be considered better than others based on perhaps size and the material they're made out of.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay. Okay, Chris.
Yeah, there absolutely are. The straight stick baton, the traditional, 26-inch wood baton was what's been around in law enforcement forever. And it works. It's simple to train. It's simple to use. That's its advantage. The PR-24s or the side hand batons came in. They were mostly made out of like aluminum or steel, depending on what you used. Then the ASP or the collapsed batons came in. We tested or looked at several versions. So there really are options when you go down this road. Some of them may have different levels of training or recertification that you look at. Certainly the nunchucks did when we carried those in law enforcement. You had to be recertified every 2 years, just from, for the training specifically had been required by them, when you went to that. So, there are some different tools. I think they're really great. I think the public realizes we all understand there's the public perception is excessive force, right? They don't want anyone, whether it's law enforcement or security, using excessive force. The public has certainly made that abundantly clear. The legislatures have made that clear. So it's a question of what's the reasonable use of force, right? Do I have a right to use it? Can I use it safely? Can I use it defensively? It's not meant to be an offensive tool as much as a defensive tool. I agree with that comment as well. So I just think there are some options. There's a lot of room here, but the perception is people beat people with sticks, right? So you're hitting people over and over again.
Yes.
That's where the taser looks better in some ways, but there comes a time when it can be your best friend if you're not in a situation where lethal force is justified. Got to subdue somebody. It can be very, very, very life saving. Just my perspective.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Weight, material, and length sounds like they are all key issues here.
Yeah, because they
Okay.
were talking about an asp, which is very thin and light, versus some of the others I looked at, which felt like a collapsible. I'm not trying to be flippant, but a collapsible bat. I mean, it was
Right,
so.
right, yes. I've seen, and that's a terrible visual, right? When you see officers like beating on somebody with something that's the size of my arm, you know, that's not good.
Yes,
So,
not,
yeah.
not to make light of that, but you're right. I think there is some things to consider before we, codify something like that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Okay, Leon, thoughts?
Yes. What was that, Chief?
Do you have any thoughts on this? I know you guys don't carry them, but if you have thoughts
No,
on
like I said, in
baton
our industry,
usage, I guess.
it's just, anytime that we'd have a thought about that would be for self-defense as a last resort. So it's not something that we would normally, in the course of our industry, consider as a tool per se. It's just be a personal choice for self-defense. And again, that's up to interpretation by the
Right.
owners of the agencies, and if they get involved in lawsuits, by the judges and juries. So, I had 50 years in the industry where the only weapon I carried was a smart mouth, and I got away with it. So, but I was fortunate. Not everybody's that fortunate.
Yes, yes, for sure. And thank you, Leon. Frank, do you have thoughts here?
Nope, no comment.
Okay, all right. Okay, Shannon, any thoughts here? You're still with us, so good? No? Okay.
I'm here, but no thoughts. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. Okay, Angel.
Yeah, so I've been teaching baton maybe a little over 4 years now, and I've never really had anybody ask me, hey, train me in a straight stick baton or a side handle, a PR24 baton. 95% has been the expandable, collapsible baton, usually an ASP or a Peacekeeper baton. Um, that's usually what everybody's going with now. I've in the past, the straight stick or PR24 might look a little bit more intimidating, and a lot of people don't like going with it, and it kind of gets in the way when the guys are walking or moving around or getting in and out of cars. So an expandable ASP or RCB Peacekeeper do work a little bit better for a lot of people. Is there still a need for training for a straight stick in PR24? Yes, but I think a lot of the instructor courses out there don't really teach all of that. They don't teach straight baton or PR24. It requires a little bit more technique for the PR24. I've done straight stick training with my own personal team here at my healthcare facility. But for the most part, it's a collapsible or expandable baton is really what's really out there, what people are really looking for right now.
Mhm. And Angel, what are the situations in which you tell people this is an appropriate use for baton? If there are, I mean, if you do, or do you just teach it without like?
No, we kind of go over it, and it's not generally you use it in a situation where it's uh, you know how the manual says just because somebody is fighting you with fists doesn't generally mean you can use a baton, right? You have to really believe that they can kind of like hurt you before you can use a baton. In situations like that we say, hey, maybe this situation might be better than when the guy's bigger than you, and you generally fear that he's going to harm you because of his strength compared to yours. In a situation like that, or maybe if they have a weapon but you don't have a firearm and things like that, you might have to. Uh, the baton can be used as a deadly weapon, depending where you hit the person at. So it can be used to protect yourself in a deadly situation. If somebody has a knife or something like that, then it can be used in that situation. But we generally, there's not a lot of times where we will take out a baton before a taser. Um, but we know we're really focused on de-escalation. But the baton is a great deterrent, right? People see that baton in your belt, and then they might think second guess if you're trained properly. And when you see those videos of law enforcement or security guards and they're winging and they're swinging their
Yeah,
baton
yeah.
across their head, my first reaction is like, hey, they probably don't have any training how to properly swing that baton, because it should only take a couple of strikes. And if it's not a couple of strikes, then you should go to something else. You shouldn't just continue hitting. So it's a lot of education apart on the people out there, law enforcement and security. So it's a lot of training, and I do believe on the coursework. Every 2 years you got to go out there again, because it's a technique you're going to
Yeah,
forget.
it's a perishable skill, just
Yes.
like firearms. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Okay, I think that's all the industry folks. And before I open it up for public comment, does any committee members have any thoughts or comments on this agenda item before I kick it open to the public? Oh, Mark, did you have your hand up again?
Yeah, you asked me what we're using. We're using expandables.
Okay, yeah, that seems to be the standard, lately.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm going through, just looking to see if there's any last minute questions or comments by committee members. And I'm not seeing any, so, okay, so, moderator, can we kick it open to public comment?
Absolutely. Now is the time for people to put their hands up. You can do so by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. And I have noticed several hands going up and down, so please double check to make sure that your hand is still up if you want it up. First in line is Phil. Hold on just a moment, please. We're sending you a request to unmute your microphone.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay, well, I'm a former law enforcement officer. I've been training baton since the 70s when it first came out, especially the side handle baton came out. And then I trained with Koga, who's a well-known defensive tactic instructor. Batons are good things to use. Currently, I teach at a couple of different schools of batons. Apparently in our area, especially Oakland, the baton students have increased to that. I usually teach one a month, averaging 15 students per class. And now we're doing 2 a month starting next year because of the increase in baton students. So that now I'm going to teach twice a month instead of just once a month. And the type of batons that are popular is the expandable straight baton, but some people are going to the expandable side handle baton because there is a side handle baton that's also expandable. In fact, I've noticed when I went to Mexico, most of the security guards, if not all of them, carry side handle batons in Mexico, as well as other Latin countries. So side handle baton is still prevalent out there in the world in security work. Law enforcement in the United States, side handle batons kind of slowed down to where I've seen it at the January 6th incident where I saw a side handle baton flying in the air. Obviously, somebody didn't know how to hold on to it. But straight expandable baton is very popular. But I still teach both of them, straight and side handle batons, and expandable batons, and then regular straight batons as well. Most of the students seem to cater towards the expandable straight baton. The brands that are available out there, popular, is obviously ASP is one of them. And ASP has now come out with a push button release so that you don't have to pound it in the sidewalk anymore. And Monadnock was the first one came out with the expandable straight baton with a push button. And they're the ones came out with the side handle baton, which is still around. And their original one first came out was the polycarbonate plastic one, and which I still have, and as well as the expandable
30 seconds.
aluminum one, and then Peacekeeper was the other one that's popular. So you got the Monadnock, ASP, and the Peacekeeper. And that's it.
Thank you, Phil. I mean, and just to everybody know, Phil used to be Angel Yanez before Angel was a facilities guy. So Phil used to be on our advisory committee. And to tie in your previous question from the beginning of all of this will be changing, including the answer keys and including the manual. So, and again, this goes out to everybody. If you have issues with the manual and mistakes that you see, please send it to us. You can either send it to me or you can send it to the general BSIS inbox, which is bsis@dca.ca.gov. All of your thoughts and suggestions, we will, actual humans read it, and it will go into our consideration for the manual, which is an ongoing process. So, so thank you, Phil.
I have a question. Do they require a actual hands-on training at all, or is it just watching a video and call it quits?
I'm gonna let Sam answer that question. The baton training, Sam.
My understanding is the manual lays out like proper techniques and what to use, and the instructors are supposed to go through those with the students. I don't know if there's a video portion. I don't think there is. Is
Well, I've
anybody
heard that
on?
from some of the students that they went to this one school, they did the lecture part, and then afterwards they just saw videos and that was it.
Yeah, that's, I mean, feel free to drop a line in our complaint box about that. You know, we can look into it and see exactly what's going on there.
I recommend that practical training should be required.
Okay, all right, thank you, Phil. Okay, moving on to the next member of the public with their hands up.
All right, Employed Security Service Center, if you still wish to make a comment, please raise that hand one more time. In the meantime, we're going to call on Monty Hecker. Hold on, Monty. We're sending you a request to unmute your microphone.
Yeah, I was just going to call and let BIS know the best thing they ever did was make the 2-year commitment, but they really need to have red man training for that. If I get a police officer, I don't have a problem with batons, but I outlawed batons back in '85. They were just too much trouble for security. It set the wrong precedent. They may be good in the hospitals and that, but for my profession, I was so happy when they changed to the 2-year thing. And they need to make the mandatory training and not the videos. I concur with the last guy. If they don't have red man training with actual, they have a real bad habit of doing just like you did, the chief. When you went overhand, that's illegal. That's a write-up, and that's these courts. My first probably 5 years, I spent every month in court with these lawyers trying to sue us or the guard and trying to state that they went overhand instead of from the side in that. So the training, I think, is excellent. Keep it up. If anything, it should be even more. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate that.
Next, we're going to hear from Michael and Han. Hold on just a moment, please. We're sending you a request to unmute your microphone.
Hey, good morning. Is this any better from the last time? I was told that my mic was really low before.
I mean, it's a little bit, the problem is also on my end because the wind and the rain is so loud and the cars going past, I'm really just having trouble. So please just speak up a little bit and somebody, if not me, will be able to hear.
All right, no problem. So I kind of agree with Monty Hecker. Him and I actually have been in business for many years together. Batons have their place, but I'm a firm believer that I really hate batons. There's not enough training with them. People do not give them the proper respect. They do not do continuing training throughout the 2-year process. They come for 2 years, they recertify, that's it. I've seen too many people not understand that, you know, they are classified under the penal code as a deadly weapon. That's a section in the penal code they follow, 22-210. We've had a problem last year where the judge has now overturned that for general civilians, put an injunction against that. So it really making a lot of the guards confusing. They're trying to, well, if it's okay for them to carry it, why can't I carry it? And I've had to work on that one. We've seen a lot of contracts where it is required. For example, under some federal contracts, they do not even classify them as a deadly weapon, just an intermediate impact weapon. I've also seen a lot of guards that they're using it as a deterrent. You know, especially we're dealing with the unhoused people. They want to pull a baton out and actually get it ready in a kind of a strike position. And use that to try to push people away. And it's like, that's bad, dude. You're doing nothing more than brandishing. So I do think there needs to be some more training in it. I'm not sure how we're going to address this yet. I'm not a baton instructor. I've had my baton license up until it was time to renew it this last year, and I finally decided to go ahead and just let it go. I'm not in the field that much anymore, so, but I do use them in my training classes for my firearms class, my basic use of force class, just to show people what they're about and how people can get in trouble with them really, really fast. The other thing one of my other arguments with batons, why I try to talk people out of them, they don't really make retention devices for batons. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist for how to swing a baseball bat. That's about it.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Appreciate your input. It looks like we got one more person with their hand up.
Next, we're going to call on area code 909. We're going to send you a request to unmute your microphone. When prompted, you will need to dial *6 to unmute. We're sending you that request now. Area code 909, are you with us? All right, let's try that again. I hear a little bit of noise. Chief Jensen, how would you like me to proceed with this?
I think that's it. I don't see anybody else, so I'm sorry if you wanted to speak. Oh, Val, there's a question in your area.
Yes, okay, let's try this.
Well, this is Shane. I'm sorry again. Can you hear me okay? No.
Yeah, yes, go ahead, please. I can hear you.
Okay. Again, I got a question maybe for Sam first. Is at the present time, can an ACO, I know that an ACE can get their gun permit. Is there a restriction now that an ACE cannot get a baton permit? I'm hearing that everyone just say have to be working for a PPO.
Shane, are you asking if an ACO or an alarm company employee can have a baton?
Correct.
I don't think they're eligible. It's only under private security.
Okay, well that at one time they did because when I was an alarm agent back in the 70s, I've been doing this for 52 years. I did have a PR 24, and I believe I had the proper permit for it. And it, of course, I don't know how many alarm agents in it. Back then we responded to alarms all the time, and over the course of being out in the field, sometimes the baton was a better use. You ran into someone than having to, your only recourse would be with your revolver. That's why I think that it does need to be maybe relooked at that that an ACO, ACE could, if we're out in the field, could be allowed to have the baton. Because right now, as heard, the only thing they're allowed to have is firearm.
Thanks, Shane.
All right. Can we circle back to area code 909 one last time?
Hello.
Hello, welcome.
Hi, this is Sean. Hi, this is Sean Sandel. Hi, so I'm a California Post use of force and de-escalation instructor. I heard the dialogue, and it is apparent that half of the committee members do not know what they're talking about when it comes to baton. It's not a baseball bat, it's a baton. Thank you so much, Chief, for inviting discussion on this. When you design the committee members that will be coming up with the course outline for the improvement, if we can please get those in law enforcement and security community that have the proper credentials and experience to designing this program. And that's all I got. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much for your input. Okay, so I am not seeing any other hands at this point.
I
Okay.
agree.
Okay, all right. So thank you so much for the discussion on this. This is just to get everything started. And we will inform everybody, including the public, on next steps on updating the manual. But I think we have enough material to sort of to start the process. So I want to thank everybody for your assistance and your time and your expertise on this. So now let's move on. I'm going to close agenda item number 11 and moving on to public comment on items not on the agenda. This is agenda item number 12. This would be specifically for the public to comment on any issue that is not on the agenda. But keep in mind, this is not a back and forth. You can give your thoughts, but the Bureau will not be engaging. But again, this is your chance to speak on anything that the agenda did not address.
All right, WebEx, now is the time to raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. And while we're waiting on WebEx, we're also going to invite our physical locations members. If you would please indicate by raising a hand if somebody has a request to speak in your location. First from WebEx, we have a request from Phil. Hold on just a moment, please. We're sending you a request to unmute your microphone.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that the future discussion will be on the firearms training manual, as well as their course of fire, as well as the guard card training manual. I have some questions and issues with that, and then also to be invited for any update training manual that you need to do, because I was one of the people involved in the 2006 baton updating.
Okay, yeah, so we just updated the firearms manual last year, so nothing else is going to be part of this effort. It is merely just to do the baton manual updates. So we will add you to the list of interested parties. We're not at the point yet where we're convening a committee, but Phil, definitely your name will be on the list, and Sean, I'm sorry, I didn't catch your last name, starts with an S. You will also be added to the list. If you can email us and give us your full name and your affiliation, be happy to add you to the list of folks that requested to be on our subject matter expert panel. So can't guarantee anything at this point, but we'll take down names and interests. And if anybody has any issues with any of our other issues, like guard card, firearms manual, feel free to email us, bsis@dca.ca.gov. And, we don't need a formal, effort to get feedback from folks. If we have a mistake, please, help us out and send us what you feel a mistake, where it is and what's going on. So at any point you can do that. So thanks for that comment, Phil. Is there any other member of the public that would like to speak and make a comment on agenda item number 12?
There does not appear to be on WebEx.
Okay. All right. Item number 13, agenda item for next time for committee members. Committee members, do you have any recommendations for future advisory committee meeting agenda items? Okay, I am not seeing any committee meeting members with their, or committee members with their hands up, so we will go ahead. Oh, Chris, go ahead, Chris.
There we go. I'm just curious, Chief. I thought I saw in the notes that we were going to bring up the issue of in-person versus remote meetings. Is that going to come up after
Oh,
this?
okay, yeah, you know what? Why don't we, I mean, I know the preference, it's not on the agenda, but I can, we can, take that for next time and take a vote, because it seems as though you folks really like being in person. And that's the feedback that I've gotten is you want more of the meetings in person. So we will put that on as an agenda item for the next meeting,
Thank you.
Chris, and Leon, I see you nodding your head in agreement, so. Okay, so we'll go
Yeah.
ahead and maybe we can flip it from 1 in person and 2 virtual to 2 in person and 1 virtual. So we'll put that on, for a vote for the next time.
Great.
Yeah, I was like Chris, I thought it was going to be on this agenda for this meeting because we talked about it at the last meeting. So yeah, if we could put it on the agenda
All
for
right.
next meeting so we can
Yeah.
have a full discussion, that'd be good.
I'm
Yes.
in agreement also. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, yeah, boy, you guys really like the in-person stuff, don't you? That's wonderful. Yay. Okay, so, all right, so I think that's about it. Anybody else? Anything from committee members before we adjourn? Oh, hang on, I saw another hand up. Oh, no, that's Chris. Chris, did you have another question or was it the same? Okay.
I make a motion
All
then
right.
to adjourn the meeting.
Would you
All
like
right,
to take
okay,
public comment before we
if
adjourn?
nothing else, thank you guys, we are adjourned.
Would you like to take public comment before we adjourn?
Oh, do I need public comment on committee members' recommendation for future advisory committee meeting agenda items? Do I need to take public comment on this? If so, yes.
Let's do public comment.
Okay, all right, thanks, Stephen. Thanks for keeping us on the straight and narrow.
All right, you heard future agenda items. I saw a hand popping up just a moment ago from a member of the public who seems to have logged off. So we're going to give it a quick countdown.
one in the room.
One in the room. I hear.
I have not left yet. Yeah, I don't know if I'm allowed to suggest an agenda item or just make a comment on agenda items. But I would like to see a discussion on if you're a PPO only license, does the individual that may be monitoring video only remotely, are they required to have a license to be licensed as a security guard or not?
This is the moderator. I believe the question was if somebody is remote viewing, do they need to have a PPO? Do they need to be licensed?
So Shane, we're not going to answer. There's no back and forth. Remember?
Yeah, you
So
know that this is
why don't you shoot that question over to the BSIS@DCA.gov. And I couldn't. I'm sorry, I can't really hear you because like the rain is beating on my window and you're soft already. So I don't know, Sam. Were you able to hear him?
Yeah, again, it wasn't for a back and forth. I realize that can not be done. It was for a new agenda item for the next meeting.
He was asking if we could have that on a future agenda item. Or at a
We'll take
future
it under
meeting.
advisement, Shane.
Tell them, thank you.
All right. Next, we're going to.
Yeah, I still can't hear it and we can't commit to anything here and now. So I'll have to consult with staff later who maybe heard him and then we'll talk about that. But we're not going to commit to putting anything on the agenda at this time. Okay, not seeing any other comments. We are going to go ahead and adjourn. So thank you very much, everybody. Sorry, David, what?
We have another. Area code 909. We're going to send you a request to unmute your microphone. You'll need to dial *6 to unmute. Are you with us,
Hi, this is
area
Sean.
code?
Yes. Hi, this is Sean Sundell again. Yes, Chief, I heard in the beginning that we are preparing for the Olympics in 2.5 years. In 2017, we had a patrol rifle, not a program, but at least we had some discussions on it, and that just died. I'm developing right now with law enforcement a designated marksman rifle course of fire, and we have a lot of private security individuals that are interested. However, they're not able to qualify with those weapon systems under the BSIS regulations. All I'm asking is if maybe the committee can open up discussions or open up maybe next meeting the discussion about having a patrol rifle or a precision rifle program, considering that we have the Olympics and law enforcement is going to be really scattered. I've been law enforcement for 2 decades, and we just don't have enough manpower out there to cover every single corner. That's all.
So that would require a law change. And that is not something the Bureau does as a nested bureau within the department. We do not run our own legislation, but that doesn't mean that members of the public can't go to their legislator and request a bill. So.
Okay, we'll have some discussions on it. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay. Is that it, moderator?
That's it.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for your time today. This meeting is officially adjourned. It's 12:06.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
you guys.
you.
Have a good day.